that flower that like opens in the credits, and there's a, what do they call it? A pistil, the stamen. It looks like a dick coming out of the flower. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like a giant space dick. What is that?
Welcome to Feminist Frequency Star Trek Discovery Recap FREQcast. I am your host, Anita Sarkeesian, and I am joined by the quintessential Ebony Astor.
Ooh, that's good. I was going to put something in the script for you, but I was like, no. It's the last episode of the first season. I'm gonna let her cook. I'm gonna let her see.
What were the ideas you had?
Incomparable.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. World shaking.
Yeah. Well, maybe the next season you're going to host and you'll have to come up with names for me, which might be a frightening proposition, actually.
No. Dream on, Dreamweaver. That's not going to happen.
Welcome to the last episode of season 1. How excited am I?
Ooh, yeah. I'm not as excited.
You're not?
Disappointed. No, because
I don't believe you. You're just doing this because we're on air.
It could be it, and because I do just like being contrary. But no, as we get into the episode, there are some like just killer shout-outs for original series fans. And when I say killer, I mean, you know, compared to previous shouts out that we've gotten in this series. And I was like, oh, yeah, it is Star Trek. What am I gonna do? Not watch Star Trek? So yeah, I'm disappointed that we gotta wait a while.
This episode was a little more Star Trek than some of the others. So, you know, you're just feeling a little emotional is all. Because I'm very emotional. They pulled it out.
They did. And we'll talk about why I think it was completely unearned. But yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first of all, I would like to just shout out that we uploaded a bonus segment, which we teased on the last episode. That is now available for you to listen to.
Y'all, it's so good.
Fucking amazing.
It's so good.
You have to listen to it. So please let us know what you thought of that. We think it's incredible. So yeah. Let's just dive right in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about the last episode, and then we have a metric fuck ton of listener theories about where season 2 is
that
going.
The scientific
so we want to dedicate some time to that.
Is that the scientific term? Metric fuck ton?
It is as scientific as Star Trek Discovery.
Sciency-wiancy. Get into it.
Yep. All right, so this last episode was called Will You Take My Hand?
And the answer is no.
The answer is definitely no. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On a scale from 1 to 10,
yeah,
how much did you love Burnham narrating the intro?
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much did I love Burnham narrating the intro?
Yeah, like she was doing this whole intro narration bullshit that it happens in like 2 other episodes.
Yeah, I will give it a smooth 1.7 because I honestly did not even remember that happened. So clearly it made zero impression on me. But guess what? Burnham got to finish out the episode with another, you know, extended narration, which I did remember. So
the narration was clearly leading up to whatever the fuck that was at the end. Why she what? Yeah.
Oh wait a minute.
Why
are you talking about the general story? Like what? Are you talking about the general story? Like the general talks to the young soldier? Are you talking about that narration at the beginning?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, whatever.
She just narrates this thing, which I made a note of at the beginning of the episode because it's only happened in like 1 other episode or something like that. But then you realize that at the very end, she's just speaking in front of the committee of people, of Starfleet people, and I don't understand why.
Well, why
either. Was she? What was
me
it?
Me either.
What was? She wasn't on trial. She wasn't getting anything. Was she like the guest speaker when Tilly and Stamets got their shit?
It was a killer speech, but like you, by about minute 47 of that fucking speech, I was like, okay, did she know she was gonna, be called up to deliver the keynote at this ceremony, or did she just like wing it? Because she got into it, and it straight up was like, I mean, she was, shouting people out and, this is not Starfleet. That's Starfleet. You're Starfleet. I'm Starfleet. Whatever. It was good, but I was like, oh yeah, I wonder if she had time to prepare, and write down a couple of words. Anyway, she delivered it beautifully, and
she did. There were actually 2 moments in this episode where I legitimately got emotional, and then quickly text you how embarrassed I was that I got emotional. Yeah. One was when Saru stood up. It was like, we are Starfleet, and then everyone on the ship stood up, and they were talking about whether they were going to mutiny or not. And I was like, it's Starfleet principles. I love it so much.
Oh yeah, me too. And listen, it was a big ball of cheesy corn pops, and I wanted every single one of them. Like, yeah, I felt a real human emotion. You know how I stand for Saru, but when Michael, says, so essentially, so if you want a mutiny, bring it, because I got some for you right here, right?
I was like, oh, bless you, Michael.
Yep, so she stands up and she looks around, and for a half a heartbeat, you think, is she gonna have to do this alone? But of course she's not. She looks around, and her people came through. So it was like, what? I got you. This is Starfleet. Yeah.
That was lovely.
It really was.
So, you know what I found interesting? Okay, so first of all, when the episode started, I just started thinking about how I feel like the Klingons and the war with the Klingons became the gritty background texture of the season. Like, they didn't actually matter, right? For large chunks of the season, we didn't actually see them much or talk to them. There was very little development of anything. They just became like the background texture, like I said. And I feel like that, as much as I was worried about how utterly racist and awful it was going to be, it's almost worse that they didn't get any development, that they didn't get to be real people, that they still were just this like warring, savage faction that needed to be put down, basically. And the justification for all of the tension between Lorca and them and going into the other world and all this shit. And like, I find that really offensive.
Yeah, well, okay, my cynical take on it, and this will reveal my sincere lack of knowledge about how TV works and is produced. But so we had, the first half of the first season, and then we had an extended break, and then the second half of the first season, right? And, the showrunners have talked about how they tweaked some things and how they adjusted some things. I'm convinced that the version of like the kind of grim, dark Star Trek that we initially were given, they fully intended to pursue that narrative, and having the Klingons be more of, kind of a narrative force. But I think there was such an outcry from many Star Trek fans saying like, this is not it. Like, this is not the Star Trek we tuned in for and pay $6.99 a month for on CBS All Access. Like, this is not, you need to go back to the drawing board. And so to me, there seems to be, a real, shift. There seems to be like a real bifurcation, more than literal bifurcation, between the first half of the first season and the second half of the first season, such that, I think, once they realized like the Klingon storyline wasn't going to deliver in the way that perhaps they thought it was, there were some last minute changes. I doubt that that's actually the case. I'm sure they filmed all of this 2 years ago, and I'm making this up a bit. In my mind, they were listening to our podcast and they were like, whoa, Anita and Ebony are not happy with this. We need to fix this out. But it felt like the most pat, tie it up in a bow resolution to what was supposed to be this like huge, kind of like operatic, war between the Federation and the Klingarations, right?
I thought the war was going to last for years.
Right. And so then at the end, like, it gets wrapped up in a scene that's like a minute and a half. Basically, Burnham comes down and, stands up to Giorgio and is like, what you going to do? You going to shoot me? Huh? Foster mom? You going to shoot me? No, you're not going to shoot me. And then it's all over.
Why? Okay, whatever. Sorry. I know some of you don't watch the episodes anymore and just listen to us, and this must be utterly confusing. But
that's what Memory Alpha's for. Listen, we're not a recap. Even though we're called the Recap FREQcast, it's more Freakcast than it is recap.
If we named these episodes, it would definitely be called more Freakcast than Recap now.
I want to put out a call, and this is sincere and honest. I want to put out a call for a new co-host for the Star Trek Discovery Freakcast, Recap FREQcast, because after the end of the show, Anita Marie Josephine Broomhilda Sarkeesian pings me with the question. What did you say? What did you say? You said in all capital letters, who is Captain Pike? I almost jumped off a high building. Who am I even co-hosting this shit with? And I thought for a minute about keeping your secret, but I was like, no.
Yeah,
because
like,
if she doesn't know, listen, if she doesn't know who Captain Pike is, then I know she doesn't realize how. I know she doesn't get the shout out to Baylock that was in the episode. You know who that is? No, of course you don't.
You know, I never watched the original series.
Right. But I'm saying there's all kind of texture and depth that you're missing, and I'm just saying occasionally, periodically, we need to get someone else in
the island. Sure, you can vote me off the island. That's fine.
No way. Of our 3 listeners, 2 listeners only listen because of you. I'm not trying to lose 2/3 of my audience.
We should definitely consider having guests for season 2, and I should consider actually sitting down and watching the original series, maybe, kind of, and maybe I'll be able to keep up with y'all. Whatever. Mm-hmm. So one thing I found interesting is we expected this episode to be the guns a-blazing, fight episode, and not a single fucking gun went off.
Yeah.
Like, not a single punch was punched. Not a single, like,
but
it wasn't, like, there was no...
but there were many asses that were asked. You got a strip club scene, which I know you were super excited for.
I know the episode wasn't good, but I think because it wasn't like it was more sort of quote unquote adventure, it didn't bother me as much as the other ones did. Mm-hmm. Man, can we talk about how fucking sexy lowlifes are in this world, apparently?
Okay.
When they walked out in those leather outfits, I was like, damn.
I was ready to follow them to the darkest corner of any galaxy. Every single one of them looks good. Like, they looked good. And you know how I've been clowning on Ash Tyler from day 1, from day 0. But even he could have gotten it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to let you cook, Ash Tyler. Because, yes, they brought it. Although I have to say this one thing. So we see Tilly... and that great scene when she at first confuses Giorgio for Prime Universe Giorgio, right?
So good.
And she's got Tilly, my love. Okay, so she's got her curly
her
hair.
hair was amazing, right?
Right. So
her hair was fucking amazing.
She had that great Merida hair, like from the movie Brave, right? Looked amazing. But then she's in her low-life clothes. Her hair is flat. And I was like, did you have time to flat iron your hair? Like, I thought this was... that shit takes a long time. She got a lot of hair. So I don't know what kind of space hair products she's using, but big ups.
I love that the braid was the, like, I'm a little alt.
Yeah.
Because I have a braid.
Oh, I know, right?
Straight hair.
It's the little touches.
Okay, Tilly was a fucking delight this
so
entire
good
episode.
So good.
I feel like she really kind of, like, came alive with the ability to do some like comedy in a real way in the show. So when she sees Giorgio, that entire scene where she like salutes her and then is like, wait, what am I supposed to do? I don't understand what's happening. I'm so confused, was perfect. She executed that perfectly.
So good. And then when she snorts the volcanic ash, she's like, what am I supposed, and then just falls over.
It was so good.
She's an amazing comic actress, but also she brings the drama. She has been, just from the get-go, one of the reasons to keep watching this show.
Yeah, she's so great. I would love to see more of her as a, like, you know, what is her storyline? Yeah. You know, like how they would actually do that in other Star Trek shows where you would eventually get to know the other characters. Mm-hmm. What else we got? So Giorgio is oh my God, she looked so good in the fucking leather outfit. Like,
they all did.
Not get over
they all did. Me either.
I know. I don't mean to go back to that, but I was just thinking. Okay, so they go down to this planet, and of course they go to a strip club because and a gambling den, right? Like, what else are you gonna do? There's no other ways to find information. And I love that they're like, well, Giorgio is really evil because she buys sex
and from both a man and a woman, right?
Right, and so it's not a bad strip club / brothel or whatever it's supposed to be because it's equal opportunity, blah, 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 whatever. That's bullshit, and I was furious when I saw that shit happen.
am so surprised.
But they used that scene to show how, like, evil and bad she is because, like, you know.
Yeah. Well, as it sort of a clue towards her, innate perversity, right? Like she not only is going to fuck a dude, she's going to get another woman involved, But I am so surprised, except not surprised at all, by the number of science fiction shows that will find a way to slap some body paint on a white woman and then have her sexy dance, in like a strip club or gambling den of, the supposed future. And I'm like, it is amazing to me the paucity of imagination that goes into, constructing these alien worlds, So if you have a TV show or a movie in which there's any kind of brush against, what's called like the low life sector, or a rough and tumble section of town, there's always going to be women on display. And it's always going to be women who, like cisgender women who, have European features. They usually have some sort of body paint and maybe like some sequins, glued to their butts or whatever. But essentially it's just like white chicks dancing around like go-go dancers. And I'm like, you mean to tell me that in all of the universe, on all of the planets, that essentially like, a Sports Illustrated model can get a job anywhere? Like really, that's what we're saying.
Yep. So I was watching the season 2 of The Expanse, and there's a scene with.
How's that going for you?
I live tweeted it, so feel free to check out my Twitter at Anita Sarkeesian if you're curious what I think about season 2 of The Expanse. But there was a scene where there's this kid, and one of the main characters is like shaving at his house or whatever, and the kid is. I don't know, early 20s, maybe late teens or whatever. And he's like rebellious and wants to fight. And his entire room is plastered in like pinup images of women.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, are you fucking serious? This is a world that is showing that women are in command, that people of color are in command, that like, there's not a lot of like, there are definitely like sexist comments here and there, but it's I get the feeling that it's supposed to be kind of post-patriarchy to some degree, or like that's not as important. Yet this kid has fucking pinups of like half-naked women all over his wall. Give me a fucking break. And it's the same thing of what you're talking about, where in video games, in film, in TV, there's always an excuse to go to a goddamn strip club to have like the conventional model of like femininity. Or you go to something like Mass Effect, or in I think Star Wars does this too, where it's like blue aliens but that have the sexy bodies of women.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you're like, give me a fucking break.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I am biting.
And you objectify bodies in every fucking culture.
Right. So like
regardless
everyone
of the body,
objectifies bodies, but apparently no matter what species you are, sort of,
the
like
body's exactly the same.
Yeah, and like, a certain kind of female humanoid body, has currency. Like it just is stupid. Just the idea is stupid. And it's a way to get a little TNA on screen. And I am by no means anti-TNA. Love T, love A. I just think our science fiction could do more. So that's all I have to say about that. Oh, before we leave that section though, again, leather outfit. Oh, Giorgio's leather leotard thing. Come on now. I could watch that scene or the scene where they come out of the lift a million times. I probably will.
When they're in the bed together?
Well, no, like, okay, the scene where they come out of the lift and you see their leather outfits, and then just that little quick blip of like her leather bustier leotard thing. Like, it's all about the fashion. I'm not trying to see, that dude's ass.
Sure.
Like,
I think that I can't get past what all that represents to be like, yeah, that was hot. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm so grossed out by the whole thing. But
fair.
Yeah, I'll get you. Fair. You can have that. Mm-hmm. That's fine. The one thing from that, the planet, was that I was so fucking into was the goddamn glowing tattoos.
Girl, yes.
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 I want those.
I also wrote that down and was like, I don't know what I would get. Is it changeable? Can you mix it up? Is it like a mood ring? Very much into it.
Amazing. Amazing. I also, going back to Tilly, I just love that when she refused to get high, she was like, I have a narrow esophagus.
Mary Wise. Really so good.
And then also on the planet, so they're trying to set up the underworld bit of this, which was hilarious to me because it was just all of the cliches, fucking bins on fire and shit. But then you look over and there's someone peeing and there's 2 streams of pee. So you're like, oh, you have 2 penises?
Yeah.
Like that's supposed to be edgy and alien or something?
Well, I have a question.
Did you see that?
I didn't see that part because I was too busy asking myself this. They have no up-to-date sensor data of Kronos, right? And like, you know, it's a problem. They don't know where things are. You know, they've got no seismic maps, whatever, for this plan. And yet there are all of these lowlifes in this like shantytown area who could potentially have given them this information. Like, I don't believe that a species like the Klingons that are supposed to be so xenophobic, allow all of these different, you know, races and species to exist roughly peacefully in this like shantytown area. But also that you're trying to tell me that like none of these dudes, none of these chicks, none of these aliens, whatever, would have sold out some vital information about where shit is located before now. Like, you actually had to go down to the planet. I ain't buying it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like them trying to sell like weapons to this blue lady for what? For information.
Yeah,
and then they had to go to all these other places. I don't get what, like, I felt like they were just trying. It honestly felt like they had nothing to do and they just needed to add a bunch of stops.
Yeah.
To like, because why did they justify building this entire set?
Seriously. And the set itself was not that interesting. Like, you know, I realize that it's a universal backlot. There's only so much you can do with styrofoam and duct tape, but didn't really get a sense that they were outside at any point. The interiors look like you could knock them over if you sneeze too hard.
But whatever, they've got a great costume designer.
They do.
So
they do.
We'll
like,
take that.
I don't care.
The set design, meh. Costume design, fucking
Seriously,
A+.
you know what? I think they're giving most of the production budget to hair and makeup and costumes, and I'm with it. I full on support that choice. So
a couple of things. So Tyler, whatever, he's so fucking boring. I don't even want to talk about him. They bring him on because he has Vox memory. It's cool. I mean, that makes sense. Whatever. Fine. I'm so happy when he was like, peace. I was like, yes, yeah, but we're not going to see you in again.
Oh, no, we're going to see him again because we're definitely going to see him again because they're going to do this gross thing. And one of our listeners pointed it out. They're going to do this gross thing because, like, he's supposed to bridge the 2 cultures. And I don't know how they think that shit's going to work, whatever, but whatever. Who cares?
He might come back in like 1 episode or something like that, like a fucking Angel Buffy kind of bullshit. But I hope that that's the most of it because he's not. I don't think he's going to be recurring.
Yeah. Well,
no way. They just wrote him out. He's useless to them now that the war is not on anymore, right?
I don't know why you think this show's gonna make good decisions now when they heretofore haven't made a single good decision.
Just give me this, Ebony. Give me this.
No,
just give it to me.
No, I'll give it to you because I'm getting a new co-host in season 2.
Fine. So they just let Laurel go. Randomly.
No, they let Laurel go. They let Giorgio go. Like, of all the people you want to just let loose in the galaxy, you're gonna let Giorgio
really
go.
Smart.
You know, like, come on. I would
God.
go ahead and lie to that woman and tell her she's gonna have her freedom, but then lock her ass at the brig. You know she's gonna get up to something.
Right?
You know, and I mean, I'm here for it because I love Michelle Yeoh, and I know when she comes back, she's gonna give me more just like mean lady goodness, but that is, I mean, Starfleet doesn't deserve. Yeah, Starfleet does not deserve to stand if they're going to be making these kind of strategic decisions. It made 0 sense. My prediction is that she's going to come back and she's going to be hooked up with like Harry Mudd somehow, you know, and they'll both just be on a tear.
I don't think the show is cool enough to pull that off, but that would be awesome. I don't think that they'll be able to do that together, but you know, we'll see. I also don't think that Giorgio would work with him.
Well, maybe not sincerely, but I can see them both thinking they're using, you know, each one thinking they're using the other. But I mean, I'm assuming that they're gonna need like a charismatic bad in this series in the way that like Q was in various other iterations or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Just pop in, you know, throw a monkey wrench into shit and then, you know, disappear.
Yeah. I thought it was hilarious when the show started and she was on the bridge pretending to be captain and just been doing it awful job.
I know, she was just
and
mean.
Then when and then when she pulls Michael aside and is like, you're trying to blow my cover. And I'm like, you're not even trying to be not you.
Well, and also,
I
like,
don't understand.
How is it that people don't, like, the massive crew doesn't already know that she's the mirror, because like it wasn't as if it was a secret that they were in the mirror universe. Yeah, like surely someone is gonna put two and two together and be like, okay, we bounced into a mirror universe. There's one of us on the other side. Each one of us has a mirror universe clone. And then someone who I thought was dead, suddenly she's back. Sounds fishy. What?
Seriously. And this was a year and a half after she died or some shit like that,
yeah.
right? Like 6 months plus 9 months plus however time the episodes aired time period. What? Like, give me a fucking break.
But then again, like Lorca was able to pull off his shenanigans. Tyler was able to pull off his shenanigans. Not very smart, this version of Starfleet. People will buy anything you tell them, apparently. I have a question.
I
know that you love the credits, the opening credits, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful. I'm about to allow you the opportunity to laugh at me the way I laugh at you when you say stuff like, who is Captain Pike? That flower that like opens in the credits, and there's what do they call it? A pistil, the stamen. It looks like a dick coming out of the flower. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like a giant space dick? What is that? Go back and watch the credits when we're done.
I need to watch it again to know what you're talking about. Why do you think I would have knowledge of what plant that is?
Because you are very open and honest when you don't know stuff, and you'll Google it. I will simply ask you, and then if you don't have a satisfactory answer, I'll just decide to take that ignorance to my grave. So if anyone has an answer for what that dick flower is, let me know. At Ebony Aster.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. I mean, what else you got for this episode? I think that, it was fine. They tied it up with a very neat bow.
Mm-hmm.
Her record is expunged. They're gonna go get the
whole thing.
captain.
The whole thing.
The war is over.
Yeah, like they just wrapped up everything.
Literally, the only cliffhanger piece is there is a hail from Captain Pike, and it looks like an emergency.
Right.
Like it wasn't even enough. I guess if I knew who he was, this would mean more to me. But I'm like, all right. Like, it's not like I'm like, oh man, what's gonna happen next?
Well, I am, because I'm a big nerd. Whatever, I own it. When I saw the screen and they were like, it's a Federation or a Starfleet call sign, NCC 17. I screamed. I'm not gonna lie, because I was like, it's the Enterprise. Hallelujah! Come and save me from this bullshit show. So
that's not gonna happen.
No, it isn't. But
are they gonna actually do a version of Pike on this show?
Who knows? I mean, and I honestly, I don't understand. I had a very intense Star Trek discussion with a good friend of mine who knows more about Star Trek than anyone I know. And she had this whole theory about the different timelines involved and the different universes and whatever, to try and explain away how some of these things that we know don't appear in later series, right? Like any mention of Michael Burnham, any mention of L'Rell as, like a female commander of the Klingon Empire, the Mycelium Drive, so she had a compelling theory in the moment anyway. I had been drinking, so it could have been bullshit. But in the moment, it made sense, right? So who knows what version of Captain Pike we're going to get. But you saw the first Star Trek reboot, right? With the movies that J.J. Abrams did. Pike was in that movie. You don't remember him from that? He was an admiral.
Yeah, no, I do.
Yes.
I do, yeah.
So, he was Captain then.
I only watched the first one because fuck those movies.
Yeah, well, there is that.
I was sort of laughing at the end when Burnham says, the war is over. These are times we cannot forget, which totally ties into what you were just saying. Because I'm like, already forgotten, because in the canon, it's already forgotten.
Yeah.
Which, I give a lot of leeway to, because they fucking made their bed by doing a prequel in this way.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's all gonna be made up, and it's all gonna not be referenced in shows that were made 20, 30, 40 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, whatever. But I was just laughing because I'm like, we already forgot it. Sorry.
But see, okay, I'm blanking on the name of the movie, but the Star Trek movie with the Next Generation cast where we meet the Borg Queen, right? And they get trapped on Earth, and they need to kind of reset things so that the Borg don't wipe out the history or the future that they've come to know. And they build it around the story of Zephram Cochrane, who apparently is the person who invented warp drive, right? So that's someone that we had heard about in the original series that's someone that they had mentioned in passing in The Next Generation. I think, we hear about him on Deep Space Nine. So that's something that they wrote later in the timeline, but that still respected shit that had happened, 20 years before that.
Yeah.
They could have gone that
That's
way,
fair.
but no, they tried to come up with this gibbery Jew banana soup, and it just didn't work. And so next season, they're going to try and do like standard, adventure of the week, monster of the week type stuff, just like adventures on various planets. And I'm going to love it because it's Star Trek, but it's going to be such a complete radical shift from what they have done, just because as much kind of cult appreciation for Discovery as there is right now, my sense, I could be wrong, but my sense is that most Star Trek fans found it a little bit dissatisfying, like it didn't scratch the Star Trek itch. And I think they're going back to the drawing board to find out how to scratch that itch.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. People seem to really like this show. So, but it's not, I'd be curious. I think you're talking about First Contact though, right?
Yes.
The movie.
Yes.
Yeah. See, I know shit.
You do. 10 points.
Okay. My two things are watching Tyler speak Klingon every time made me laugh uncomfortably. Like I sounds escaped from my mouth because I was like, oh, hi.
Why is that?
I don't know. It made me really uncomfortable. I also wanted to say that I didn't save this tweet, but someone on Twitter was lamenting that. So in the episode before, we had said, Michael was like, you need to deal with your trauma on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not going to be a part of this. Go do your thing. And we were like, fuck yeah, go do your thing. And I wanted to clarify because they were like, people with trauma need help. Why would you leave them alone? I think that people, like, in this situation, if this was a replicable situation in our lives somehow, that the person who was traumatized in this situation would go seek help and support, of course, from other people. But the person that they harmed does not need to be actively involved in their recovery. Right. And I think that was the point that was trying to be made, and that you and I did not clarify as we were saying, like, yes, we agree with the way that they articulated that.
Yeah, and I think, from the very beginning, when Tyler's character was introduced, I mean, we weren't, excited by what he went through, but we were gratified that the show seemed to be taking on a topic as complex and as vital as PTSD, as, sexual assault, particularly, against men. So our disappointment was not that these issues were raised, and it wasn't as if we wanted to shove them under the carpet by any means, but we were saying, if you're going to, take on something this important, then it behooves you to kind of treat it with the respect that it deserves, and also to not put kind of, bad messages out there about people being fixed by love, or victims of harm having to forgive their abusers, or fix their abusers once their abusers realize, oh yeah, I did a bad thing.
Yeah, totally. And we saw more sort of PTSD stuff with Michael in this episode, because we see her having sort of flashbacks to she found the laughter of Klingons very uncomfortable, but she continued to tell this story to Tyler about the time that she witnessed the murder of her parents and how Klingons laughing was a part of that. I like, all of that is fine. It felt very tacked in there. Like, oh, we should explain this, or we should make some heartfelt moment. I was like, why the fuck are you telling Tyler that right now? Like, why are you feel any connection to him all of a sudden that you would share this like really personal story with him? I didn't believe that. But then I did give them, I gave them leeway at the end. Like, as much as I wanted to roll my eyes when he was saying goodbye and they were like, they kissed and hugged and whatever, I was like, whatever, I buy it. Like, that's what would actually happen. I just don't like them together, and so it's hard for me to like give a shit about any of that. But there was a line in all of this where Tyler and Michael are talking about how like she feels sympathy and compassion, or she's learning to feel sympathy and compassion towards her enemies, and he's like, I'm on both sides of this, and the Klingons don't ever feel that. And Michael says, but you did. And I was like, that doesn't fucking count. Yeah. Like, he didn't know he was Klingon when he was feeling those things. He was feeling those things as human Tyler or whatever. Some weird fucked up amalgamation of both of these people. So, like, that was a weird write-off thingy. Like, that does not give Klingons any credit in this universe.
Right. Exactly.
Those are my notes. I also wrote, we are Starfleet. I got emotional. What is wrong with me? In all caps.
Right. Nothing is wrong with you because you have a human heart, Anita.
But it was this thing because the Admiral's like, we do not have the luxury of principles, and Michael's saying, do we need a mutiny today to prove who we are? And I was like, yes, we do.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, this is what we want. We want people with principles. But I'm also, because I was watching The Expanse today, and someone literally tweeted at me saying, you and Ebony should compare Discovery to Expanse. And I was like, why would you do that? They're totally different shows, and clearly I'm doing that right now.
Mm-hmm.
But unintentionally. But one of the main characters on The Expanse is just so moralistic and like quote unquote pure, and everything he does is like the right thing, and I find him so deeply grating and annoying, even though what I was saying to you before is that like I like these principles. I like people who are trying to solve problems well, and I think The Expanse just gets it wrong, as opposed to a character with principles is a problem.
Right. If there's any show that we should be spending time comparing this to, it's The Good Place, which I compare every show to. But, you know,
The Good Place is the best.
Chidi, my TV boyfriend, Chidi Anagonye, you know, is talking to I think it's Eleanor, about like, you know, principles don't count if you give them up when they're hard. That's what makes them principles. You have them through the good and the bad. And so when Cornwell says like, we don't have the luxury of principles, well, then you never had them if you give them up when it's challenging, you know? So I was glad to see the pushback.
I love that you were able to weave The Good Place into
Come on now. I always.
So much respect.
Always.
So much respect.
When Giorgio is trying to get the information about the like volcanic chimneys, and she goes into Laurel's brig room, right, you know, and starts beating her up, and I was like, it seems like, given who the Klingons are, trying to beat one up to get information doesn't seem like a smart move, you know? Like, they live for that shit.
I was thinking the same thing.
You know, like, if there's any species that's not going to respond to torture, it's going to be the fucking Klingon, so whatever. Okay, I just want to acknowledge, yes, the couple of shout-outs to the original series. So,
I said nobody punched anyone, but that's not true. She beat up Laurel.
Yeah, and that was kind of an extended series.
Sorry, Laurel. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. Bread and Circuses. So Giorgio makes a comment about Bread and Circuses. It was a famous original series episode. And then also Clint Howard, who was the person who got Tilly high in this episode, played Balok in the Corbomite Maneuver. So when I put together a list of what Star Trek original series episodes to watch, I'm gonna rank them in order. And I'm gonna start with ones that got shouted out in Discovery.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I would actually like a viewing list so I don't have to watch the whole thing. Like, you know, like when people want to watch Farscape, I'm like, skip the first 8 episodes. You don't need them. Yeah. They suck. Yeah. So just like skip straight down. And like, so you can do these like viewing lists. Give me one for the original series.
Okay, we're going to come back to Farscape because yes, I do agree you can skip a lot of the first season as long as you don't skip any Scorpius stuff, you know?
No. It's the,
Okay, we'll come back.
We've never talked about Farscape before.
I know, like I know, and I'm sitting here in shock because I'm like, I've been with you for a year and a half, and I can't believe this has never come up.
I'm in love with that show.
Listeners,
how have we never
I don't know.
This before?
I honestly don't know.
Do we need to do a Farscape recap?
That's what I was about to say, because I will rewatch that show in a minute.
I would love to do that.
And you know who we could probably get on? Virginia Hay, because she's at all the fan conventions.
Oh, yeah,
I know, and she's super sweet.
The one year I went to Dragon Con, it was the 10-year anniversary, and I got these little 10-year badges of Farscape, but also there were these 2 women who were dressed up like DRDs. And I went running down the wrong way on an escalator to get them and take pictures of them. I swear to fucking God, I lost my shit. I was like, holy crap. You're amazing.
Oh, that's okay. So you heard it here first, folks. There will be some sort of Farscape discussion in the future. Whether it's a limited run podcast, we don't know, but I feel like there's a rewatch in our future. Yeah. Okay, just as a reminder, not interested in seeing Sarek, but apparently he's gonna be, part of the thing forever. So, whatever.
Yeah, you're stuck with him.
Yep. New captain. What are they going to do? First, I don't know if Saru doesn't get that job. If I were him, I would be pissed off. I felt in my spirit as a Black woman, I was like, this is how they do us, Saru. This is how they do us. You do all that work, and then there's going to be some white dude who's going to come in and take your job. So I'm ready to take to the streets in support of my boy.
We should start a Saru for captain.
Yep.
Hashtag Saru for captain.
Then
let's do it.
Yeah, the last thing was
maybe it's gonna be Prime Lorca.
If that happens, I will light a fire.
I would like to watch your brain explode.
I will drive to Television City and light a fire on every corner. And then my last thing was, we talk about how it seems as if there's a million different writers on each episode. I felt like the person doing the writing of Burnham's final speech, like that was powerful, you know, when she says, no, we will not take shortcuts to righteousness. No, we will not allow desperation to destroy moral authority. Like that was powerful, you know? So big ups to the writer.
Yep. Oh, totally. We talked a little bit about hair. You want to do an official hair report?
Yes. So again, just want to ask if what kind of space products or space appliances Tilly is using on all that hair, because she got a lot of hair and she somehow had time to flat iron that shit before they went down to Konos. Burnham. I felt as if I was seeing two distinct patterns, and there's something going on with her hairline in this episode, whereby I think, you know, I've talked before about how I think they're doing like a natural hair lace front on her. The front part, like the high part, I feel like those are her curls, but the sides and the back, there's something going on there. Something in the milk ain't clean. I don't know what's going on, but someone, a hairdresser, get at me and talk to me about the like distinct patterns of curls going on there, because one, I'm not too sure about. So right. I'm withholding a grade until I know what's going on.
I wonder what they'll do with her hair in the second season, because you know how they always change a cast member's hairs to show the evolution of time.
Yeah, and then like, you know, in the Next Generation they changed outfits. You know, like everybody got different uniforms. I like these outfits though, and I like the moon boots. I hope they don't change them.
Yeah.
So
hashtag moon boots forever.
Hashtag. Yep.
We got so many fan theories that we can't possibly go through.
Oh no. Thank you to everyone who hit me up with your theories, things you hope to see in season 2, things you feel like we're gonna see in season 2, whether we like it or not. I heard from so many people. That's wonderful. So if I don't call out your theory in this, we'll find a way to like do a roundup so you can see all of the great things, or you can just follow dig through my Twitter replies and see some of the great stuff.
Well, why don't we link it in the info box? We'll link
Perfect.
We'll link that tweet, and then you can read all the
replies. That's why you're the director. You know what's coming up. Okay.
It's true.
So here's just a sampling of your genius. This is from Scott Bennett, at Scoot Bennett. His prediction, they're going to shroom jump into the Gamma Quadrant to interfere with Baby Odo's life. Then desperate cannon-destroying trip to see the Borg. Then cancellation. I feel like this. You might be onto something, Scott. I feel like I don't see this show lasting for 6 years in a movie or 6 seasons in a movie. I think it's going to be short, bright, and then dead. Introvert at Quiet Rumor says, it'd be great. More science rooted in actual theory that makes sense. Also, it would be great if season 2 moved away from battle scenes and focused on character development / new species that are interesting and more involved in the stories. Hashtag pipe dreams. Yeah, pipe dreams for real.
Yeah, but like, how great would it be to go to like a Kelpian homeworld or like learn more about them, even the ones that have been introduced?
Oh, totally. I desperately want to know more about the Kelpians. Longtime listener Celia Fenter at Celia Fenter says she predicts that Laurel and Tyler fall in love and have babies, which
that could happen since they went off together.
I know. And when I saw this tweet, I immediately thought, oh man, can you imagine having to birth one of those giant-headed Klingon babies? I don't want that for Laurel. I don't want that.
Could you imagine being the half human, half Klingon in the world?
Yeah.
In this world where they'd be like, you'd be so ostracized in every way. And plus you'd be stuck with Tyler as your dad. Ew.
I know, right? Well, I mean,
Laurel is your mom I could deal with, but like Tyler, nah.
Well,
fuck him.
Okay, so Worf in The Next Generation, I'm blanking on the name of his lover, the mother of his child, Alexander. But wasn't she half human? Somebody at me.
Maybe, but I was thinking of like during war times, right?
Well, yeah, I'm just saying, like, clearly it's been done before. I guess life finds a way, okay? Whatever. Yeah, Shout out Jeff Goldblum. Fair. Okay, John at EVZ77 says, Michael and Space Whale road trip. That would be awesome.
Tilly ate the space whale in the episode.
I know. But she spit it out. Tilly is just a face.
I mean, she might as well have just enjoyed it since she was already.
I would have kept. I know. I would have kept eating it. It was only a small piece.
I would have too.
It looked like it might have been rubbery though.
Probably.
More predictions. Tilly is just a face made out of spores telling people's fortunes from a tent set up in the canteen. Lorca returns as embryo inside a fortune cookie. A surprise Saru mudship. Also very good. Very good.
So good.
But
these are amazing.
So good, right? And then the last one I want to read is from Bethany. Actually, this is next to last one. I'm becoming more and more convinced that it's going to turn out that Discovery is Tilly's origin story. Have we ever followed someone from cadet to captain before? Now, I really love this because y'all know how much I love Tilly. And in fact, the last tweet I want to read is also about Tilly. Muffin McGuffin at Muff McGuff says, I think and hope that Tilly is the future of the Federation and helps lead them away from Klingon genocide. I love Tilly so much, and I would love it if she becomes as vital to this show as, say, Spock was to original series, or Data or Riker was to Next Generation, you know? I want her to really be at the forefront. Having said that, I don't want the focus of the show to move away from Michael Burnham. Like, we don't have enough, you know, Black women of color in command in science fiction. I don't want Michael to get sidelined. So if it becomes the Tilly show, that's, you know,
that would
like
be
as much as
sure.
So I want.
But like, how cool would it be if Michael was captain and Tilly was her first?
I don't even know if I want her to be first officer, but if she was like science officer, that would be great. Just let her be on the bridge, you know? So maybe Michael's Okay, here it is. Saru is captain. Burnham is first officer. Tilly is science officer. Stamets gets a transfer to Starbase 47.
Yep. He'd be very happy on Starbase 47 with his spores.
Exactly. And then we're out. Yeah.
Yeah. I want the android chick and the other Black woman. They need to be on the deck.
Her name is Awasaka. Okay?
Fuck. They don't say her name enough for me to remember it. They've said it like once or twice in fucking 15 episodes.
Well, I learned it.
I know. I'm a horrible human being. We already know this.
Yep. You said it.
I would like to share one that you didn't read.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was hilarious. It's by Helga Hansen, and she wrote some stuff. And then she wrote, would you like to, do you want to do the voices with
Sure.
me? Do you have it in front of you?
Yeah, I have it in front of me. So are you going to be the narrator?
Okay. I'll be the narrator.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so Helga introduces this back and forth by saying, also, this show needs a narrator like in Arrested Development or Jane the Virgin.
Cornwell. My Lorca is dead.
Narrator. He was not.
You can hear it, right? Right? Like, this makes the show so much better. Lorca, one last jump then.
Narrator. They would have to do many more jumps.
Instant improvement is right, Helga. Instant improvement.
It's so good.
So good.
I love it.
Yep.
You all are amazing. You know, I was actually, so Ebony was up here this week, and we recorded the intro to the bonus looking at each other.
It was weird. It was weird.
I was like, I can't look in your eyes for that long because it gets a little uncomfortable, but that's okay.
What are you trying to say?
Adore you.
What are you trying to say? I am able to hypnotize people with my gaze. That is true.
I totally derailed my thought. But I was saying that one of the things about being public on Twitter now, which I haven't been for fucking ever, is how much of a pleasure it's been to interact with our podcast listeners and talk about things and just kind of be a human. And you all are making Twitter a much more pleasant place for me, which is a dumpster fire of fucking hell. So we adore you, and we're so glad that you have stuck with us through all of this entire first season of Star Trek Discovery.
Yes.
Why don't you do a theme song before I roll us out?
This is it. This show is over. This is it. That's it.
I feel like that's actually a song.
It is. Prize to the first person to call out what song that is.
All right, so that's it for season 1 of Star Trek Discovery.
We made it.
And
oh, boy.
We did make it. I'm so happy to have my Sunday nights
Girl.
back to do other work instead of this
Okay,
work.
right? I was going to say, we'll just put something else in here.
You know I'm not going to stop working. But, yeah, second season is confirmed, but there's no date announced. And apparently it's probably not coming till 2019. So we've got a whole long while until we are back in this particular space.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that y'all are going to miss us because we're going to miss you. But
yes.
You know what? You don't have to miss us. You know why? Because we have other podcasts that you can just jump onto. You can check out all of our work and our other podcasts, including the weekly, the reliable, the sensational,
the old warhorse,
the old warhorse, the sometimes questionable Feminist Frequency Radio. You can check that out at feministfrequency.com. And we actually have some other podcasts in the work to take the space of this one while it's on hiatus. And it's going to be Ebony and Carolyn, and I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's
so good,
fucking delightful, and I can't wait to check it out. So you can follow us on Twitter at femfreq to get notified of everything. And, you know, we have a newsletter too, so if you want to find out monthly what we've been up to and keep up with us, please do that. If you want to help us keep making great podcasts and videos and articles about intersectional feminism and pop culture, please donate. We can always use your support, and you could do that at feministfrequency.com/donate. Lastly, we want to hear from you. We always want to hear from you. We want to keep hearing from you, even if we're not doing this every week. So you can not shout me out, but you can talk to me at Anita Sarkeesian on Twitter. And Ebony, where can they find you?
They can find me at her name is Awosakan Aster.
That's fair. That's totally fair. You know the drill by now, at Ebony Aster. Shout out to our new production assistant, Jules, who has been taking over editing these podcasts.
Hey.
Forgot to shout you out the last couple of weeks. Thank you so much. We will be back here in like a year or something.
I bet we'll be back before then with Farscape talk.
Oh, man. Okay, please tell us if you want us to start a Farscape thing. Because that's like, I don't know how many people are still that into Farscape and would listen to that. So let us know. On that note, goodbye.
We're warping boldly off into a... Oh, boy, I can't even do it. Goodbye.
No, goodbye.